This is the biggest opportunity in content creation right now, by far. So I'm going to talk about a few different things because Noster is much more than just a social layer of Bitcoin. It is. I think that's where it's going to catch all of its traction from, but I think it's a much bigger deal than that. So Noster is not only the biggest opportunity for content creators right now, but it's also a really good way to earn Bitcoin non-KYC. And I get that question a lot, almost every week in the comments. How can I buy Bitcoin without anybody knowing that I have it? And people go through all these hoops in their life. They go to their fiat job, they earn dollars, which is fine. I'm not telling anybody to quit their job today, but they go to work, they pay a bunch of taxes on it, they get their money, and then they have to figure out a way to convert that into Bitcoin without a whole bunch of people knowing that they have it. And a very underappreciated and underutilized aspect of this non-KYC Bitcoin is Noster. So I'm going to be talking about today a couple different things. I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown of what it is quickly. I'm going to share some tips from myself and from other people who are on Noster. And I'm going to give you some clients that you can start with. So Noster essentially is a protocol. And I know the first 10 times I heard the word protocol, I basically shut my brain off too. But understand what a protocol is. And Jeff Booth recently said at a speech that technologies come around a lot, but it's very rare that we get a protocol like Noster or Bitcoin or email or the internet. These are all protocols. Technologies built on top of these protocols. So Noster is a protocol. It's not an app. It's not a website. It's a protocol. And it's important to note that it's not controlled by any central authority or corporation, which is a pretty big deal. And we're actually moving from a very centralized system, a very centralized world, into a very decentralized system and world. And the biggest tools in that new decentralized world are going to be Bitcoin and Noster. And they go very well together. So a couple reasons why you want to join Bitcoin, I said already, is a huge opportunity for content creators right now, because you can make a post on there. And if somebody else gets value from that post at all, they can send you Bitcoin instantly without anybody's permission. And that's a pretty big deal. So it's great for content creators. It's great for getting non-KYC Bitcoin because you don't have to put in your identification when you create a Noster account. Nobody knows that you have these sats. If you're adding value and earning sats, they're completely non-KYC, which is pretty badass. A couple more reasons. There's a ton of Bitcoiners on there. So if you are a Bitcoiner out there who's feeling kind of lonely, like Arnie right now, Arnie and needs some attention, lonely and needs some attention. There's a ton of Bitcoiners on there, an abundance of Bitcoiners. So if you want to chat, if you want to talk about Bitcoin, if you want to ask questions, it's not only Bitcoiners, but there's a lot of Bitcoiners on there. So it's a really good way to grow your Bitcoin network. There's lots of very intelligent people on there. I ask questions all the time. Anytime I run into any issues tech-wise, I just ask a question on there and use a hashtag #AskNoster. And the question is usually answered pretty quickly. And it's kind of the only place that you have a chance of getting a reply from like the big Bitcoiners, like Jeff Booth. Noster is the only place you could ever make a post or a reply, a comment, and Jeff Booth is going to reply to that. He's on Noster. And so to me, and it's also fully open source. So anybody can verify the code. Anybody can build on top of Noster. And that's exactly what's happening. There's this completely open source protocol that was given to the world by Fiat Jeff. And there's a bunch of very smart people now who are building different applications or clients, they're called, on Noster with different features on them. So I'm going to get into a few different things here, some tips. But it's important to know right off the hop here that it's an ecosystem. So let's say that you set up an account on an application like Damus. You create an account on there, you get a public key and a private key. That's what you want to take care of. That's like your username and password. So when you create an account, they give you a public key and a private key. The public key is basically how people are going to find you on there. That's what you share with people. Very, very much like your receive address for Bitcoin. And your private key is something that you keep you pay very close attention to. You keep that safe. You never give that to anybody, just like your Bitcoin private key. Somebody has that, they now essentially have access to your account. So with that, you get your public key and you get your private key. And the cool thing about that is even if you created that, even if you generated that key pair or that new account on Damus, you could actually jump over to a different Noster app like Amethyst or Primal. And you can jump between these different apps with the same key pair, the same public key and private key pair, which is also a pretty big idea. That'd be like going from Facebook, taking your login information there and logging into Twitter, and everything would look the exact same. You'd have all the same followers. You'd be following the same people. All of your posts would still be there on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Rumble. It's the same kind of thing. That's what's being built here with Noster. It's a full open source, permissionless ecosystem for the world. So a couple tips here to get you going. So I'm going to share some of mine, and then I'm going to share some from other people on Noster today. I made a post and said, do you have any advice for people? And so here's what I got back. These are mine, first of all. So I would say three things. The keys. You have to engage. There's no algorithm like there is on Twitter. There's no algorithm on Noster. So it's kind of up to you. You have to engage. So you have to use hashtags, or you have to follow accounts. You have to interact. You have to look at posts and the comments underneath. You have to be the one engaging here. Nobody's going to do it for you. And that's important. That's a big part of your Noster experience right off the hop is engagement. So just start posting, just start commenting, start replying, start conversations with people on there. It's completely up to you. Second one I would say is follow people. Again, there's no algorithm. So you're going to have to do a little bit of your own digging with this. You're going to have to do a little bit more work. But again, it's worth it because there's no algorithm here. There's no centralized company with an agenda that's shoving stuff down your throat. It's completely up to you. So what I would suggest is you could just find me on Noster and you can look at the people that I follow and you can kind of scroll through the list and you can follow some. You can always unfollow people after, but just start following a bunch of people. I'd say get to like 200, 300 people. That's kind of like your starting point. So you can look at the people that I follow. You can look at the people that Jeff Booth follows. You can look at the people who Gigi follows on there. Just look at their follow, the people that they follow, and just start following some that look interesting to you. And the third one is make sure you're zapping. So Zap essentially is a way to send Bitcoin to each other on Noster. It's called a zap. So if I make a post on Noster and somebody likes it or gets value from it, they can actually send me Bitcoin instantly, any amount. 1 sat, 1,000,000 sats, they can send a zap, it's called. But you have to make sure that you're zapping people as well. And I'll tell you from experience here, I've been on Noster for just under 2 years. I think about 2 weeks short of 2 years now. And number one, sending zaps feels a lot better than receiving zaps. Outside of like the first post that you make and the first zap that you receive, that's a pretty incredible and liberating experience for one, when you receive your first zap. But after that, you're going to enjoy zapping people much more than receiving zaps, especially fat zaps. Another thing here is if you want somebody's attention, zap them. If you just leave a comment on Jeff Booth's post, I wouldn't say Jeff Booth. I don't know if you can even zap him on there. But let's say Gigi or Odell or Preston Pish or American Hodl, anyone. If you want to get their attention, just send them a zap. They're going to see your message. Because when you're looking at your notifications and there's a bunch of likes and there's a bunch of comments and there's a bunch of replies, but you see a zap on there, you're going to look at that one. That's just ingrained in our human brains. It triggers a different feeling inside the brain when you receive a zap. So you're going to pay attention to it. So if you want someone's attention, zap them. And I've actually been only zaps on Noster from very early on, which means that I don't really like any posts because likes to me are a complete illusion. It's a very fiat world thinking when you're liking posts. So I haven't liked a post for definitely over a year now. And so you're a lot more careful with, you're not just liking posts to like them. That, again, that's just a complete illusion. That's the Instagram world. So if somebody has a good post, I'll zap it. It's much more meaningful. So you pay a lot closer attention to the posts that you're liking and boosting on there. So I use only zaps. I don't know if I'd recommend that. off the hop, but you could. I recommend it and I use it. So the next one here, you can use, I'm going to give you 3 websites here to use. So you can use noster.build, nostr.build, B-U-I-L-D. That's what you use for your media on there. So you can actually upload an image for your profile pic. It's a little bit different than traditional. It's a little bit more difficult to use, but you can use noster.build for all your media within Noster. And you can basically, you upload a picture, you copy the link to it, and then you share that in your edit profile section. That's how you get a profile pic on there. And there's some other things that you can use noster.build for as well. Noster.band. That's another really good resource. nostr.band, B-A-N-D. And I'll put all these links in the show notes here for the websites, for the clients, and I'll put my NPUB in the show notes as well for you if you want to join and follow me on there. So Noster.band is great for stats. You can find people on there. You can see how many people follow them. You can see how many people or how many zaps they've sent, how many zaps they've received, how long they've been on Noster. Very good resource, Noster.band. The next one here is Noster.com, which I think a lot of people start with because they assume that Noster is an app or a website or something. So they kind of start with Noster.com. And what I would say is if you're using that, there's a big button at the top that says create an account or create a key pair or something. Just ignore that. But there are lots of really good resources on Noster.com in terms of like clients, in terms of what Noster is, some information on some of the more technical stuff within Noster. So it's a really good resource for learning about Noster, Noster.com. The next tip here that I would say is that it's very important to differentiate between when you're talking about Zaps and Lightning wallets. It's important to differentiate here on Noster that it is different receiving Zaps versus sending Zaps. So in order to receive Zaps on Noster, you have to have a Lightning address. And you can get one of these from Wallet of Satoshi, Speed Wallet, and I'll put my link for Speed Wallet below as well. I think you get like 500 sats if you use the link. Speed Wallet, you can use Coinos.io. I'm going to put all these again in the show notes for you, so don't worry about memorizing them. So get yourself a Lightning wallet. And if you have a Lightning address, it looks very much like an email address. So it'll be like Jor at Speed Wallet or something. Jor at walletofsatoshi.com, Jor at Coinos.io. That's a Lightning address. That's what you need. So make sure your Lightning wallet supports, make sure you have a Lightning address. And that's actually what you paste into your profile. It says Bitcoin Lightning tips or Bitcoin Lightning address. The wallet that you want to receive Zaps into, that's what you put in your profile. So whatever you want to receive Zaps from, that's the wallet that you use in your profile. So that's important. Versus when you're sending Zaps, depending on which client you're using, some have wallets built in like Primal or Damus, where you can actually, you click the Zap button and then it prompts you to choose the wallet that you want to send it from. So if I want to send somebody a Zap right now on Amethyst, I'll give you an example. I'll do a live Zap here. So again, Amethyst is the app that I use. I'm on Android, and Amethyst is the best client out of all of them, in my opinion. So let's choose a comment here that we want to zap. Let's get Duncan. So I can see Duncan. You can see his, well, it's Bailey on here, but we're going to find that post. You can see the little lightning bolt there. I'm going to click that, and then it prompts me to choose an amount. So you get a bunch of different options there. These are kind of my preset ones that I use, but I use 88 mostly. So I'm going to click 88, and then it's going to say, do you want to open with which wallet do you want to use? So I'm going to use Speed Wallet here. So I click the Speed Wallet, and Speed Wallet's honestly not great for zapping because it has this notification. Oh, there we go. So this one worked. So it says 88 sats. Are you sure you want to zap? Send via Lightning. And then you just click send. So 0 sats to send it. Nobody's permission, send. Payment sent. So that's how you send a Zap. So you need to have a Lightning address, a static address to receive Zaps. You have to put that in your profile. But if you want to send Zaps, depending on which client you use, you get to choose which wallet you want to send it from. So that's pretty important. So I got a couple of tips here that I'm going to share for people, from people on Noster. And after this, I'm actually going to send them a Zap as well for being part of the show today. So the first one here is from BJ. And I like this one because it says the F word in it. But she said, be your own fucking self and don't take shit from anyone. It's great advice. Be yourself on Noster. It is, once you get on there, you'll realize it is very much different than any other social media app out there. There's no algorithms, which is a big part of it. So there's no real engagement farming on Noster. It's basically people posting pictures, posting articles, sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, just adding value to people. Anything that somebody out there might find entertaining, like funny or, interesting, or you can share stuff that's educational with people. I share a lot of my videos from YouTube on Noster. And every time I go live, I share a link to it. Well, I try to. I usually forget. But just be yourself. Whatever it is you like talking about, just do it on there. There's no game within Noster. It's just you add value, and if people get value from it, they can send you some back. The next one here is follow people and read the comments on their notes. That's where you find the good stuff. And that's from Yarn Lady. So it's absolutely true. I've found some of the best people, some of the best content in comments. So you can find some people to follow. You can start checking out some of their posts, but make sure you do a dive into the comments of the post, because that's where you're going to find people, and that's where you're going to find people, good stuff out there. So make sure you're following and checking the comments. The next one here is provide value and find your people. Don't take yourself too seriously. You aren't that special. True. And that's from Casey. And when I saw that, I've thought of like Instagram or Facebook, where people have to put on this like act. It's like they're in high school still. They're trying to find the best filter. They only find pictures that they look really good in. Noster's not like that. It's very genuine so far. And I'm sure it'll change as it grows, just like everything does. But just be yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. You aren't that special. It's great advice. The next one here. It works if you work for it. Engagement is crucial. So going back to my very first comment there, which was engage with people, interact with people. And that one was from Maria. So it works if you work for it. So again, no algorithm. You got to show up. You got to do the work. It's a little bit more difficult, but it is definitely worth the cost, worth the price, worth the time. The next one here, I love this one. This one's from Anarcho. It says, post what you love and love what you post. So again, there's no rules. There's no playbook here. There's nothing that we can go off of. Just share whatever you think somebody might find interesting or valuable or funny, anything. Just post what you love. And I think this is a good rule, because when I'm looking for things to post, or if I'm, searching through my phone, I don't just post anything. I make sure that it's actually meaningful. You don't want to be just a bunch of noise, bunch of spam. Post the things that you love. And there's probably somebody else out there who's going to find, they're going to love it as well. And again, they can very easily now send you Bitcoin for that. And the last one here is follow anyone who seems even remotely interesting. And that's from Muntasim. Follow anyone who seems even remotely interesting. I love that. And again, take a look at a few people. You can look at my list. You could look at Odell's list. You could look at Gigi's list. Find the people that they follow a bunch of them. And then you can always prune it later if you need to, where if somebody's pissing you off or you're not interested in what they're talking about, you can very easily unfollow them. And the last thing, I think I missed writing this down, but I saw somebody posted this and I actually shared it on Noster, but it was pay attention to your profile. Pay attention to when you're creating your profile, make a good picture, put a good bio in there, because you have to remember that there is no algorithm here. Nobody's going to suggest you follow these people. So you have to be interesting. When somebody's scrolling through a list of people to find and people to follow, your profile has to have something there that's going to entice them, that's going to be interesting to them. So take a little bit of time, share what's important to you, share what you're interested in, And that's how other people are going to find you on Noster. Okay, so let's get to the last thing I would say here. This is kind of a tip, and this has to do with our buddy Arnie here, who's ignoring us. But this is my tip. If you got a pet, if you got a dog, if you got a cat, if you got a bird, anything, create an NPUB for them. Because there's probably people out there who like dogs, people out there who are going to like pictures of your cat, videos of your bird talking, whatever it is. But the thing is here, there's no risk to it. Number one, there's no cost. But the second one, and more importantly, is even if you don't get a single zap on any of the posts, it's going to be a really cool like diary of your pet. And Arnie has his own NPUB. I've been sharing pictures of him since he was a puppy. And I'm going to continue sharing stuff of Arnie on there. So it's a good chance for you to, if anybody enjoys it, they can send you Bitcoin. And worst case, you're going to have a full diary or like an album of your pet throughout his life, doing different things, which is pretty cool to me. So create yourself an NPUB, create your pet an NPUB, and start posting consistently. So a couple things that I would say here is I'm going to go to Noster.com. I'm going to show you this website because this is where you're going to find a couple clients that you can start using today. So again, you're going to go to Noster.com. And you're going to bypass this, create your Noster account. You want to go right past this because it's confusing for people. So this is where I would start. I would go to clients on the side here. I would click Domus if I'm on Apple. I would click Amethyst if I'm on Android. And you can use Nostrudel if you're on desktop. And this is a very, very in-depth, we should actually be on here right now. Yeah, right there. There's only one person watching this stream right now on Zap Stream. This is kind of a bonus show that I did after the show today. So I didn't tell anybody, and we got one person watching. It might even be me. So this was a sneaky stream today. But these are all people who are streaming right now. So you can find this on, and the grinder's on right now. You can find this from nostrudel.ninja. So let's go back to that. These are all the clients here on the side. So again, Domus, that's what I suggest for, I got a list here. Let's run through the list. So I get 6 clients that you should be starting with here. Just start with one probably, but you can try these 6. If you're on iOS, it's Domus or Primal or Noster. Those are the 3 that I recommend for Apple users. If you're on Android, Amethyst is the best. Once you start using Amethyst, you'll never use another client again. And if you're using desktop, if you don't want to get on your phone yet, you can use Primal. That's what I suggest, Primal, or Nostrudel. That's the one we were just on. So you can find all those on Noster.com. I'm going to put all the links, anything I talked about in the show notes here. And if you got an NPUB, just leave it in the comments below so other people can find you. But outside of that, that's it. So the biggest opportunity in content creation, we're moving into a whole different world right now. We're moving into the information age, and you're going to want to be sharing stuff, whatever skills, whatever info you have, there's somebody out there who's going to get value from it. So take this stuff seriously. This opportunity is not going to be around forever, but it's also a great opportunity for earning non-KYC Bitcoin, which everyone's looking for. So if you're a Bitcoiner, you should 100% be on Noster. So again, all the links, my NPUB, everything's going to be in the show notes, and I hope to see you over on Noster. Bye-bye.